I grew up in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire. No, it's quite a mixed area. I didn't really notice the racism there in terms of stuff like that. Just obviously when I was younger, you know, you stop and search and stuff like that. You just take as a pinch of salt when you're younger, and you know. But apart from that, no, my area was quite fine.
So one of the things we do look at is institutionalised racism, and there's obviously been, you talk to black players and the amount of times like they are stopped in their cars.
Yeah.
Is that something that's happened to you on a regular basis?
Yeah, plenty of times. It's obviously you get a nice car, and sometimes police stop you quite a lot. Whether it's justified or not, they look around your car, look at the tax, look at anything they want to look at, and not actual reason why they stopped you. So I got my fair share, and when I came up here, up north as well, I got stopped quite a lot. Like I said about the tinted windows and stuff like that. Okay, fair enough. But a lot of the times it just stop for the sake of stopping. But you just come to accept it. Just think it's just part and parcel. We used to have a joke about if you've got a nice car, you're guaranteed to get stopped. And unfortunately, not so bad nowadays. But I'm talking maybe like a couple of years ago. It was quite a regular thing. You used to get stopped. But thankfully, it don't really happen that much now.
I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, was an Everton player was shot for a watching. Can't remember his name, but he attended our event.
The striker.
Yeah, young lad.
Yeah.
And they shut the shop and called the police.
Yeah.
Anything as bad as that happened to you?
Not as bad. I think the time I was in Luton, and I was walking around with my brother in one of the shops, and every time I looked at a jacket, the person used to come up to us and said, "That costs such and such. That costs such and such." It's like to say you can't. What you're doing here, you can't afford it, But that's just I think when you're young, I was lucky enough to grow up with a lot of black people and Asian people as well. So we used to just make jokes of it and just laugh about it. Sometimes when you walk down the street, people used to cross the road, just for the sake of obviously was walking down the street and people used to cross the road. But again, we used to make jokes of it, and to an extent, maybe we did play a play on it a bit because we knew what was going to happen. So we used to make a joke about it. We walked down the street, and people used to cross the road. So it's us, and we saw the fun side of it, and we made a joke out of it.
That's one way of coping with it, but you can imagine, people who aren't as strong a character, or young kid in a school. What would your advice be to them? Because it isn't always the case you can make a joke of, is it? What would your advice be to that young person who's suffering?
The main thing is, I had my own son. He used to go down to school, and we had to take him out of school because he was different. He's obviously he's light skinned, and he's got curly hair and his eyes are brown. And got to the stage where we had to actually take him out of school because he kept blinking. And we took him to the doctor saying what was the problem. He goes, when someone feels uncomfortable, he kept saying to me he was hiding his eyes because obviously he's got brown eyes, and he kept saying he wanted to hide his eyes. We took him to another school, and on the first day he didn't want to take his hat off. And we're like, why do you want to take his hat off? Because he's different. He's got curly hair. And that's this day and age where we expect things to... On day, kids are innocent, and you can't help where you grow up. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to take my child from the school that he was in to move to another school. But obviously, I know a lot of people that can't do that. Example, one boy that I know, he's in a school that's obviously dominantly white, and he's a black boy coming from another country, and he's in that situation where he can't move schools, and he's getting picked on, and he's getting all the signs that my child had. But I'm lucky enough I'll be able to can move my child. Well, obviously he got to go through school like that. And when I was younger, I went through school. My first school, I was one of two black people in my school, and you'd find ways of coping with it because you have to cope with it. Obviously about the hair, people touch your hair and say, well, your hair's different, and obviously call you by different names and monkey and stuff like that. And it's hard to deal with at the time. as a young person, everybody deals with it differently. A lot of people turn to violence. A lot of people just laugh it off. A lot of people hide away and be sad by themselves. I think the main thing for a young person is to talk to an adult. I was lucky enough my son could come to me, and he's only 5, so he couldn't say as much, but we got the vibe of what he was talking about, how he was different. And I think if you can go to a parent or an older person just to let it out and talk about it, it goes a long, long way.
His mum's saying, Mum, kids are saying you can't play with us because I'm black. What do you think? Well, what do you think of that, first of all? But also, what would your advice be to that young lad?
I think the main advice to say is to have confidence to talk to your parents about it, and obviously raise it. If you can raise it with the school, with the teacher. Don't try to hide away with it. It is a lot of pressure on the actual individual because you're trying to fit in. I found myself when I was younger trying to fit in. You wish you had straight hair. You wish you had different colour eyes. You wish many different things about you, and you start to then not disliking, but you become more unhappy because you want to blend in. You want to be different. You don't want to be different. I think the main advice I could say is, obviously, no matter what colour you are, you're all equal. I say the main thing is for me, as I found out with my son, is to talk about it, to be confident to go to an adult and to talk about it and to let it out. Don't keep it all bottled in, because a lot of the time it makes you more unhappy, and you end up having thoughts in your head and feeling down about yourself rather than feeling confident about yourself. And I wouldn't say depression, but it comes to a stage where it gets you really down. Cause when my son came home from school, we say, "How was your day?" He didn't want to talk about school, and then we say, "Who did you play with?" Nobody played with me. He said he had a friendship bench and nobody wanted to play with him, and he ended up, being unhappy going to school. And from a parent's point of view, that's the hardest thing, to see your son putting your son in school and knowing that he's not happy. And I say I was fortunate enough, but I think for any other child that's out there or kid that's going into the same situation, same position, it's more important than anything to talk about it.
Great. It's a crucial part of anybody's life, isn't it? Like you just seen on the news this morning, they're saying that your child psychologist is saying that first 5 years of your life, if you're not getting positive messages about yourself, then that affects the rest of your life. One of the things about racism, of course, is that black young people don't do as well in schools. And I think that's something that we're trying to challenge with teachers. They've got to make sure they don't reinforce the racism that's out there in society. Did when he's moved your child's school, have you had a better result since then? Yeah,
he's 20 times better, 20 times happier, comes home with a smile on his face. I just want to touch on the school subject. I think there's a lot of, I found it when I was younger, there's a lot of misunderstanding what racism is. I think a lot of, especially, I come from where a lot of black people, in terms of, I'm just talking about black because obviously I'm black, use the racism word too easily and not understanding the full, racism doesn't mean if you're at school and the teacher's not appraising you. I think a lot of times people uses the black word or saying the N word out of context of what it actually means. I think, it's easy, if you're up to no good and you're causing a crime, I think a lot of the times black people come out and say, "Oh, is it because I'm black?" I think we just gotta, how can I explain it? Not hide behind that in terms of if you're from right and wrong.
Yeah. How important do you think it is to have campaigns and that challenge racism in society?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of people think it's gone. I think it's more. It's 20 times better than what maybe 5 years ago, 3 years ago. I think it has come out of the game quite a lot. But it is a minority that is actually still in the game. I remember a time when I was at Luton. We used to joke about certain teams that we go and play against. That what we're going to get called. We're going to get called Jaffa Cake, and I was fortunate enough to be playing around black people, so we could laugh it off. Well, other people used to say, they can't didn't like going to certain grounds because they know they're going to get racially abused and stuff like that. And I say all the black players before us 10 years ago, 20 years ago that went through all that, I can only, they got courage and to show us the strength and show us the way to go handle themselves. Because obviously a lot of players at the time were only one in the team, black person one in the team, or and they had to go through that all themselves. But I say the example for me is I was sitting in the stands at one of my former clubs, and one of the fans shouted out on the pitch that black N, what you doing, and like his friend next to him said, you can't say that because you got black players on your team, and he said no, I'm not talking about our players, I'm talking about their players, which doesn't really make sense, But I think the red card campaign is massive influence. It's just about awareness and letting people know it's still there and we're cracking down on it, and it only can be better for the game.
I was at the Stoke City game last night and just read that the Stoke City supporter has been arrested for racially abusing Demba Ba, but there was a section of Newcastle fans singing Kenwyne Jones peels bananas with his feet. Just a small section,
Yeah.
but I could hear them. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. Does that surprise you that there's still chants going on like that, racist chant?
Not really. Yes and no. I think a lot of it's been swept under the carpet, and it has come out of the game a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's obviously the campaigns and kick racism out of football has helped a lot. But I think we only can be naive if we think it's completely come out of the game completely. And I think that's society in general. It's not gonna. No matter how much we wish it can come out of society, but it's not. It's gonna be still there. And that just proved my point a minute ago. What I said about they're saying it about their player, but they're in their heads not thinking it's relating to their own team players that are black and whatnot. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, the main thing is only a minority that's doing it, and it's going to take a while, but step by step we can try and get it out of our game.